The anniversary of Canary Wharf, and the IRA dismisses hopes of an early ceasefire. The country's nurses await the Labour Court recommendation due within hours. And more people at work, there's been another big drop in the dole figures. Good evening. Almost a year to the day after the Canary Wharf bombing, the IRA has dismissed any remaining hopes of a new ceasefire before the British general election. An IRA source has told RTE News that the organisation is not expecting any meaningful move from the British government before the election, and so its campaign of violence will continue. The source also said there was no question of the IRA being engaged in a phony war. Tonight, the Taoiseach said the Republican movement had a credibility problem. Are they, he asked, committed to democracy for the long haul or violence for the long haul? Earlier, the Fianna Fáil leader Bertie Ahern said he deeply regretted that no move appears to be taking place to have the IRA ceasefire restored this side of a British election.
A year after the Docklands bomb in London, which killed 2 people and shattered the 18-month-old IRA ceasefire, the paramilitary organisation has repeated that it's still committed to peace. An IRA source has told RTE News that the key move as far as they are concerned is a commitment from the British government for Sinn Féin to be involved in inclusive, meaningful negotiations without preconditions. On the prospects for another ceasefire, the source said as far as they could see, there was no sign of a meaningful move from the British government this side of the general election, and in that event there was no sign of another ceasefire. The IRA has also dismissed media speculation that the organisation is now involved in what they call a phony war. The source repeated that their ceasefire ended last February and said talk about a phony war is contrived. The source added if there have been problems with missions, they've been purely operational. When asked about the standing of Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness, the source said the IRA is still committed to supporting the efforts of the Sinn Féin leadership and others, including John Hume, to try and reconstitute the ceasefire. In Dublin today, the SDLP leader again called on the IRA to end its campaign of violence.
I'm quite satisfied that once there is a strong government in London, that there will be major movement in the peace process. And therefore, that being the case, I am saying to the IRA very, very clearly, lay down your arms and respect the wishes of the people of Ireland North and South, and recognise that everybody now recognises, right across the board in Britain and Ireland, that there is a real opportunity now for lasting peace and a real negotiated settlement.
They've got to realise that there is no way forward through violence, but that the door is there to be opened with the key which is in their hands. Set aside violence and come in on the terms of your own, on the strength of your own votes, your own electoral mandate, and sit down on the same terms as everybody else. That's what we want to see, and that place is there for them.
Today's stark message from the IRA would seem to tally with the views of British Army and RUC security chiefs, that the paramilitary organisation is not engaged in what some are calling a phony war. All sides in the north also seem to agree on another point, that there's no prospect of any movement in the peace process or a ceasefire until after the British general election.
In the 12 months since the Canary Wharf bomb, the people of London's Docklands have been slowly rebuilding their devastated area and coming to terms with the destruction visited upon them that Friday night. The bomb killed 2 people and caused millions of pounds worth of damage, much of which has still to be repaired.
1 year on from the Docklands bombing, and they're still repairing the damage. But this is not commercial property, these are people's homes. Here in Tower Hamlets, the most deprived borough in Britain, 800 families live on this estate in the heart of Docklands. Hundreds of people had to move out while the initial repair work was being carried out. It's here you find the human cost of the bombing.
Psychologically, we've still got people that are still in trauma, children and adults. They still have their counselling and things like that. It's a thing that we was never expected.
This block was the worst damaged on the estate. It has to be pulled. Authority is likely to get little by way of compensation for the cost of the damage.
There was an enormous amount of work to be done, rehousing families, putting them up in hotels, and that, as I say, came to about £2 million. We're still waiting to see what proportion of that we will actually manage to get back from the government.
In the commercial part of Docklands, the signs of the devastation are also still clearly visible. Many of the businesses that had moved out temporarily have now moved back, and things are looking up. Since the bomb, this commercial block, still under renovation, has been acquired by the Irish company Ballymore Homes. Insurance here is also a problem. Many simply weren't covered for bomb damage.
It's a lot of work and discussion between the insurance companies, the loss adjusters, the building owners, exactly how each building is going to be approached, and they are big, complex structures, as we all know. And so that's not something we can rush, but it's now gathering pace very fast.
But Scotland Yard has been warning today there could be more IRA attacks in Britain, similar in scale to the Docklands bomb. Police here had a number of successes with explosives finds in the second half of last year, but they now say that the IRA has had time to restock. One senior anti-terrorist officer told me today we're in the middle of a very dangerous period.
Brian O'Connell reporting.